What up? Wade here. So hopefully you're watching this video before attending the training on how to use your personal brand to sell more effectively, how to get your free content to do a lot of that heavy lifting for you without being salesy, hypey, or sleazy, or any of that sort of weird stuff. I'm going to show you how to do it in a cool way. That's what the webinar is all about. And there's a lot of people that are pretty excited, but I also have been getting a few questions. You know, people are saying like, hey man, that's awesome for you. Congrats on, doubling your profits, adding that whole other income stream. Sounds like your clients are doing really well, but how does this really work? What does this really look like? I'm afraid like whenever I've tried to sell in the past, it either didn't work or, people got pissed off, and everything that I see out there of all these sort of hypey internet marketers and stuff, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to do like that. I don't want to do that stuff. So then what happens is you have people on the other side where they just don't sell at all and they're struggling. They're just not getting, enough sales. And there's this belief that I think a lot of people have that it's hard to sell online using your personal brand. So whether that's, social media, Instagram, even things like YouTube, a podcast, they think that, it's somehow different than, yes, okay, in an email or on a landing page, it makes sense, or on a sales call, but how do I do that elegantly when it comes to the sales process without, selling my soul to what I call the internet marketing swamp? And so here what I'm going to get into, I'm going to show you kind of this beautiful funnel, is a simple process on how to do this effectively. Because the other side of what I see is a lot of people, they might hear about, oh, a webinar funnel, the perfect webinar format, or ClickFunnels and things like that, or tripwire products and product launch formulas. And the thing that I see, sadly, a lot of times is, yes, these tactics, they can work. And we'll talk about on the webinar how to use some of this and integrate it into those funnels and processes if you have them in place already. But a lot of times it just overwhelms people. And they get halfway through. The amount of halfway done or 75% done marketing funnels that I've seen when clients come to me, that's just kind of like a sad thing because it means you put in a lot of work and you didn't get anything out of it. So I want to show you really quickly here, 5 to 10 minutes of a couple things you can immediately deploy in your free content to start selling more effectively. So what I mean by sales funnel here is basically just going from complete stranger, cold traffic, somebody who doesn't know who you are, to ultimately going for the sale. And this is kind of what that looks like on the most simplistic level. You have, let's say, we'll just say traffic. You have some sort of traffic source. So this could be website visitors. It could be YouTube people, viewers. It could be podcast listeners. And then over here, you have the sale, right? You have that. And so a lot of times what people think, they're like, okay, traffic, conversion, how do I do that? And in between here, like I said, this is where the confusion comes in. If you're able to easily convert people, hey, sales go up. And all you got to do is think about how do I have the jet fuel to get more traffic, and boom, more people come in. It's a happy loop. It's this beautiful funnel. The challenge is at the conversion stage. And so one thing, a lot of people, they don't even really want to think about this, so they're just like, I'm not a copywriter, or I'm not a marketer, and so every so often I'm just going to mention my products or my service, and hopefully I get a few sales. Or again, they're like afraid to, and they're like, oh, why am I not getting more sales? It's because no one knows about it and you don't have a proper conversion strategy in place. The other thing, like I said, this gets super confusing because you could have, webinars and product launches and high ticket sales funnels and all that stuff. And I think, like I said, a lot of times it's just so overwhelming and there's so many pieces to put in place there that people just really never get started. So instead, what I want to do is, again, look at this traffic source. You can say this could be your YouTube channel. This could be your podcast. How can we get more people into the sales system without needing all of this crap and all the complicated stuff and doing it like, again, selling your soul to the internet marketing swamp? How do we do this in a simpler way that offers massive goodwill and massive trust and a lot of value in this process so you come across cool to where even people that don't buy, at least they're like, hey man, that was pretty cool shit. Versus just going like, okay, I don't want this, and that was pretty annoying. And so it only increases your value to your audience versus the opposite. And so the way that I actually kind of came across this, it's a pretty funny story, and it actually, at the time it was not funny at all because I thought I was on the brink of bankruptcy. But what happened was I was using Infusionsoft, which is a CRM, and I had all these automated email sequences, and I was following what everyone else was doing at the time. This is a few years back. We had these tripwires and all these complicated marketing funnels. And I spent probably 6 months, almost like a programmer, doing if-then statements and things like that. And it actually started to work. I was putting in all this time, and it finally, things were going well. But what ended up happening is there's these like black hat spammers that took over Infusionsoft at one point. They used their email IPs, all this weird tech stuff. I have no idea how it works. And what ended up happening is that my email deliverability went to shit. It was completely nothing. So all of a sudden, emails that had a 30% open rate, they were all going to spam filters and promotion boxes and stuff like that. And so my sales went from whatever they were to literally almost zero overnight. And I'm like, oh my God, how do I change this? What do I got to do? This is a big deal here. This is the whole business. And so as I was trying to search through a couple things, figure out what would be a different strategy, I came across a way to basically use Facebook ads and recreating my email sequences through Facebook. And so now it's evolved a lot since then, and where it's not as then I was just still doing complex, weird stuff. What it's been distilled down to is a very simple strategy where all you do, the way that you get the conversion to happen, let me move this out of the way. The conversion comes through what I call inception advertising, where you're really incepting your audience into wanting to buy your products and services, and you're doing it in a really cool way versus sell, 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 and pushing things really hard. And so what you have, you just have, we could we'll just kind of put little pieces. What you have are all your greatest hits content. So you take your top 10 pieces of content and go, okay, think about who my customer avatar is. What is the things that they're going to want to see? What are the stories they want to hear? Testimonials, things like that. What are my best processes? A video like this, inception advertising or something. Oh, how to break through influence of purgatory. Whatever that would be for you, taking all these, and then you have a process, which I call, I'll just do IA here because I'm too lazy to write right now. But inception advertising. So that's what's different about this is all of a sudden now, whenever some traffic source, so this could be, maybe they watch 75% of a video on Facebook. Maybe they watch a certain amount of video on YouTube. You can do it through that too. Maybe you embed your podcast on your website, and when they get pixeled that way, what happens is whenever they get pixeled, boom, they get pushed in to the inception advertising campaign. And so now any new person, they're going to see, yes, they're going to see your current content, and you can keep putting content out, but they're also going to now start seeing your best content, and you can lay it out in a way that it really orchestrates the customer journey. So that the other part of this too is these things run on autopilot. Once you set it up, each one of these pieces, to get somebody to see it, it's like 1.2 cents. Whether it's a video, whether it's a post or something like that. Even podcast episodes, we rip it up, turn it into a quick little thing, you can swipe up and get that whole process really nicely in place. It's really cheap for anyone that comes through. And so then, one, the sales process is pretty easy from here. If you want to integrate your sort of webinars or your product launch formula, stuff like that, you can do that. But again, I'll leave that stuff for the webinar. We'll go really into detail with a lot of this stuff. What I'm saying right here, for a little quick facts action thing that I want you to try right now, is whenever you put a piece of content out, what you want to do is deploy sales seduction. So what I mean by the sales seduction process is in every single thing I do, whether it's a video like this, whether it's a podcast episode, whether it's a Facebook post, even in an Insta story, I try to make sure every time to plan a little bit strategically ahead of time and make sure that I have 2 to 3 things that I always mention related to my suite of products. And so this is where I think people go wrong, where they don't talk about them ever. And they're like, I can never talk about my stuff. People are going to get so pissed off. You don't need to be, you could be like just, hey, here's an Insta story of me. And in the background, it has the image of the product. Or it could just be like, you're starting off an email and it's announcing your next episode. At the very top, you're like, oh, I've been up to doing some really cool stuff. It's going to be great. I'm working on this new product. Anyway, today what I got for you. And so it's just that very subtle, simple stuff where it's like, even like another example would be, you're telling a story, and so let's say you had an idea for this piece of content. Instead of going like, hey, today what we're going to talk about is this. Instead you just say, hey, I was talking with a client, and one of the things that we were talking about was this. And so you didn't say, hey, come join my coaching program. But you said that, hey, I have clients, and because of that they go, oh, interesting. How do I become a client? What do I got to do? And so when you start integrating this sales seduction stuff, and it's stuff you're probably kind of doing haphazardly, organically already. I'm saying in every single thing you want to put out. When I was going to grow my coaching channel, when I was going to, like, the Chosen 20 specifically, I made sure in every video I'm going to mention I have this thing called the Chosen 20. It's my top 20 clients. I'm also going to say it's always full. There's always a wait list to get in. I'm going to talk about how it's really expensive and you got to commit to at least 6 months. And that was about the end of it. I didn't talk anything about the application process, that there'd be a sales call or a strategy session or anything like that. But what ends up happening when you do this right, and you really inject in, I'll just put it up here. When you inject in the sales seduction stuff directly into this, what happens is you just start getting like PMs and DMs, people private messaging you and saying, hey, how's that wait list going for that coaching program? Do you have any openings? And then what you can do is you can move them down into your other things, whether it's like I said, the webinar funnel, or like get them on the phone call. And like I said, a lot of times you just do a couple back and forth text messages, and all of a sudden you're like, hey, yeah, let's do it. Here's the price. Are you ready to go? They already know the price because you've already kind of subtly, elegantly injected these things into your content. And then what you do, you just track all this stuff, and the things that have the best reach, engagement, you put them into the greatest hits. You got the inception ads, and then again and again and again, any new person that comes to the website that engages with a piece of your content, they're going to get put into this inception ad campaign, and boom, that's what leads to more sales. So again, I just wanted to create this little video so you're best prepared to take all the advice you get on the webinar and really deploy it in your business right away, get that implementation process happening fast. That's really all I got. Like I said, breaking this down, the upcoming webinar is going to go in way more details. And so if you're watching this video and you haven't signed up for this webinar yet, if you have any sort of business online and you want to increase your sales using free content, social media, and your personal brand to really crank it up and do it in a cool way that isn't salesy and hypey and internet marketing and sleazy and stuff like that, you got to go to wadealters.com/webinar and sign up for this thing today. I'll make sure to put the link down below. It's just wadealters.com/webinar, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Get on this now while it's still open. If you go there, you'll see it. You'll see the date and everything. Let's rock and roll. I'll see you on the inside, and let's take your business and your brand to the next level. As always, enjoy.